Nintendo,
Ooh.
once again, hits YouTube channel with hundreds of DMCA strikes. This is not the first. This is not the first time they've done this. They've done this quite recently. I believe the most recent one that was popularized at the very least was a big YouTuber who does a whole bunch of work, like reviewing games and other sorts of stuff, content that was back in, I want to say, like early December, real early December. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into why DMCA striking or copyright striking, like YouTube stuff, is sucks, because YouTube does not at all do a good job of of that review process. It takes a really long time, and they just don't prioritize it. But and I was freaking out when I first read this, but it's YouTuber Gilvia Sunner, not to be confused with Sylvia Gunner. This is one of their other pages. Received 1,300 strikes on their page that required them to remove a substantial part of their library. And while Nintendo is well within their right to have infringing content removed, it's especially damning right now when the ability to even purchase, let alone stream, Nintendo music is highly limited. Like they keep a cap on that kind of stuff pretty well. It's a massive pain because there's like not like the music isn't necessarily readily accessible anywhere. They're not
Right.
releasing tons of albums, and oh yeah, there's an easy way for you to go listen to, the Luigi's Mansion OST or something like that. We kind of take for granted that somebody somewhere will rip the files off of the disc and then put them into a video on YouTube, and it'll be there forever, and that's totally fine. Like at any given time, like any company can be like, no, you can't do that because I don't want you to, and I don't, and then it doesn't have to be because I'm going to release, an album that I want to make money off of, blah blah blah. They can just do it, as they're
Exactly.
allowed to, because it's their property. It's something that we take for granted, and it definitely sucks, especially when in cases like Nintendo where they just remove stuff and they have no plans whatsoever to like make it available to the public. So yeah, this is probably more so one of the latter cases.
I would understand if it were going to be like we actually are about to drop everything and like put it on Spotify, put it on our, or it's like you can't get on Spotify, but you can buy it on our site and stuff like that, and be like, yeah, sure, pain in the ass, but that you decided that's how you wanted to go about it, and you put the files in a place that's accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I feel this. Surprisingly, this is the same way I feel about like backwards compatibility ROMs and emulators. Of like, anytime there's a pushback against um, the ROM community or what they've done there, it's like, sure, you're sure Nintendo, you're right. There are definitely some people in here that are just using it, like grabbing ROMs they don't own, whatever. Sure, and I know that technically by the legal definitions against the law. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
got you. But if you don't do anything to help with preservation, I don't care.
Yeah.
I know last week I just gave you kudos for the Pokemon FPS because I was like, yeah, that was a little that yeah. I was like that was and not even 7 days, not even a week. Not even a week later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already back on your case about something else.
Yep.
Actually, maybe the Pokemon FPS is what got them all riled up. And they're
They're like, everybody back onto the internet. We need to cut some stuff down. And it's basically like, if you're like Sega, for example, is an excellent example of a company that like does a lot for preservation. Like Super Hang On, one of their popular arcade games, which later got ported to home consoles and then to like PC Smash Pack type stuff later. Like small racing game with, you know six tracks to give a damn about, and that got a 20th anniversary remaster album re-release. Like you could buy a physical album to put onto a record player to play that music if you wanted to. And like Sega's released tons and tons and tons of their music on Spotify for people to listen to. It's like Nintendo,
yes,
like they're not working that same angle like at all.
you could listen to Space Channel 5. Jet Grind Radio,
Hmm.
Jet Set Radio Future. You just kind of go down the laundry list, and like and honestly, the only ones that have issues are ones that just maybe have a studio that like publish something on Sega, and like that particular studio has a problem, not Sega itself. Like, uh,
Hmm.
or heck, even if we're not talking about the soundtracks, but just like even like the game, like the classic one, probably not Fantasy Star, Panzer Dragoon Saga, which
Hmm.
has a long history, just a code issue why we can't get a remake or a remaster of that. Um, but yeah, Nintendo,
Yeah.
come on now, come on now, and
They
to
do a
and
lot of good, and they also do probably maybe not an equal amount of bad, but like definitely a non-negligible amount of stupid.
I also want to clarify to back up Gilva Sunder's channel. They definitely were not monetizing these videos, so this was just more of
Mhm.
a just definitely like a public service of like, I know you don't have access to these. A lot of people don't have access to these, so I'm putting them all out so that people can be able to listen to this music. Gosh, I really worry about the other Nintendo sites, or sorry, the other Nintendo YouTube channels and the folks that got the lo-fi Nintendo sites. I'm surprised those haven't got brand free as well, but maybe those are
Yeah.
different enough to where the
I
fair
mean,
use
the
applies.
the problem is even if the fair use applies, the YouTube system for dealing with
Right.
DMCA copyright strikes like is absolute garbage. Like it is not at all content creator friendly because YouTube doesn't want it to be because it behooves them to do what companies want because YouTube is the adult in the room when it comes to, you know, digital video content. So they're like, no, if the company says whatever, then that's what we're going to do. And we'll get around to reviewing your stuff whenever we get around to it.
Never, 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 never.